Hi, I'm Riley.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Ideal Podcast,
where we talk about the ideal and not so ideal moments going from girlhood to womanhood.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. I am here by myself, as you can tell, which is always a little bit uncomfortable, but we're gonna get over that. Today, I thought I would record an episode about wedding planning, engagement, and just getting married, marriage. My husband and I are coming up on our 5 months of marriage, which I know is nothing compared to, people who have been married for years. But I'm going to be honest, I was a little hesitant to record this just because I wasn't crazy about the whole wedding planning journey. Obviously, I enjoyed it and it was fun because I've dreamed of getting married my entire life. But I kind of didn't know what exactly to talk about, but today I sat down for an hour and just wrote down all my thoughts. And I'm just going to share my advice, things that I encourage other brides to do. I know there's a lot of people getting married this year, so I hope that for brides that just got engaged and are planning their wedding, I hope this is helpful. And then for those who are already married, I hope that you can see this as entertainment and as a way for you to look back and reflect on your wedding day and your wedding season. So to start off, I'm just going to share my story. I got engaged last year in June. It was end of June. And we had a very private engagement. And the first piece of advice that I want to give to any future brides is do what is best for you. I think that nowadays social media can be so toxic, and I feel like Riley and I talk about this topic all the time. But especially when it comes to wedding planning, oh my goodness. Social media is so toxic. Your goal as a bride is to do everything that you want to do rather than what social media is telling you to do. I think so many brides are pushed into certain things when it comes to the wedding, to the bridal shower, to the engagement, to the bachelorette, because it's popular on social media. And I think that is so wrong. The phrase, "what would people think?" should be out of your head completely. If that thought ever comes to your mind, do everything to get it out of your head and not make any decisions based off of that thought. You have to do what is best for you, what you are going to look back on and be so thankful that you did. And I think so many brides are talked into spending more money than they want to just because they feel like they have to do something trendy because that's what's popular on social media. For us, for Serge and I, having a private engagement was something that we both wanted. And looking back, I think I remember more from my engagement than I do from my wedding. And I'll get into this later, but Serge and I are very introverted to ourselves type of people. And having a big wedding or any kind of big party is not our thing. We just have a lot of people in our lives that we couldn't not invite. So it just so happened that our wedding turned out to be on the bigger side. But our engagement, it was just us two. We had no photographer, which if you are the type to want a photographer to document that moment, or if you're the type to want to see all your family and friends and celebrate with them afterwards, do that. But make sure that that is what you want. Serge and I had such an intimate and personal moment when he proposed, and we loved it, and it was just how we wanted it to be. And now that I look back, I cherish that moment so much because we just had so much time to ourselves to just let it sink in. I remember when it first happened, we were just standing there like, oh my goodness, this was a moment that we have dreamed of for 2 years, especially because we dated long distance our entire 2 years of dating. So it was such a freeing moment where we're like, wow, we made it through long distance, and now we get to plan a wedding and start our life as a married couple together. So now we're engaged. We are officially in our engagement season, and I think our engagement is a little bit on the shorter side, although for me it was plenty of time to plan a wedding. We got engaged at the end of June 2024, and we got married in November 2024. So it was 5 months of planning. One thing I will say is I was not working for half of my engagement season, which helped significantly. And I'm not telling people to quit their job. It just worked in my favor. I think maybe if you are working full time, you might need a little bit more time to plan. But it really depends on your personality. Some people are extremely type A, which is like me, and I'm like control freak. Like, I need to plan everything. I planned everything in a month or two, I think. Like, most of the big things were done in 2 months, and then I just had like small little things to get done and finalize the remaining 3 months. So let's get into the details. I just want to share what I did during the wedding engagement season, and hopefully this will help you out. Wedding dress. My wedding dress was from the Anthropologie Beholden line. The service that I got at Anthropologie was phenomenal. For those of you who don't know, I used to work at Anthropologie. So for me, it was also just a full circle moment that, you know, I used to work at a place like that, and then now I get to have my dress. I don't know. I'm just like very sentimental with things like that. So for me, it meant a lot. I think this is something that every bride should do. And like, what vision do you see for yourself and for your wedding dress? For me, I have a very minimalistic style when it comes to things. And I always thought I would go with like a simple, silky, or just super minimal dress. But every dress that I tried on in that style made me look so much older and more mature. And the vibe that I wanted to give off for the wedding day and from my dress was youthful and young, because I have all the time in the world to wear these dresses that make me look older and more mature. But I think getting married at 22, I just wanted to embody the youthfulness that I still carried. And I know I'm going to look back and be thankful that I wore a dress that didn't make me look older than I really am. I wish there was more opportunities for me to wear my dress, but that's all right. I will forever keep it and maybe pass it down to my daughters in some way. Another piece of advice that I have is for alterations. Ask around. See where your friends got their dresses altered, if they know anyone who makes alterations, because Anthropologie told me to go to this one alterations place. They quoted me almost the same amount that I paid for my dress, maybe like a little bit under, which is absolutely insane. Do not fall for that. I was later recommended to go to a different lady. She quoted me half of that. So I saved so much money. And sometimes doing research on your own when it comes to wedding planning is not enough. Like, ask around, see what your friends did. It could save you so much money and stress. And the lady that I ended up going to did a phenomenal job. The dress fit perfectly, and she got it done very quickly. Another thing about Anthropologie is their dresses are extremely affordable. You're not paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for a dress. And I feel like if you're wanting to maybe even do 2 dresses, Anthropologie is a great place to go to, because you can get 2 dresses for the price of 1. For vendors, all of our vendors except for the venue were people that we knew, which was such a blessing. I highly recommend, like, take advantage of the people that are around you that are willing to help. You'd be so surprised how many people are eager to help you in this season. Our venue was a country club, and our food, rentals, and day off coordinator were all included. We ended up having a food tasting for the wedding, and that was like such a fun experience for us, because we turned it into a date. Our venue did a whole evening for us where they brought out different foods and different drinks, and we just got to like experience a free luxurious dinner. We had so much food. We were in a food coma walking out. I think one thing that every couple should do is make the most of every moment. The engagement season flies by and it's also extremely stressful. So if you can make the most of the little moments like your wedding food tasting, you'll be very thankful for it. That is one of the memories from the engagement during our time being engaged that I strongly cherish. So with our venue, like I said, food, rentals, and day of coordinator were included in the price. You have to weigh these things out, but sometimes getting an all-inclusive venue is far more affordable than paying and choosing all your vendors separately. For us, it ended up working out, and I think we ended up paying about the same amount that we would have paid if we had a venue and had to hire everyone individually. It was also nice to have a coordinator that was in the venue because she knew everything about the venue. She knew how long it would take for us to get from one spot to the next spot and all these things. So she had things down and figured out, and it made things significantly easier on our end. So for the details of the venue, we had to work around the season that we were getting married in. I think getting married in November is not very popular. I think most weddings happen September, October in the area that I live in. So we obviously had a slight chance of rain, and thankfully we were blessed with the most beautiful weather, not a drop of rain, beautiful sunny weather during the day, and then we had a beautiful golden hour because I remember walking down the aisle with my dad during the ceremony and seeing the most beautiful golden sun. So the weather was absolutely perfect, but because of the chance of rain, I decided that we were going to look for a venue that has a ceremony option outside and then a reception inside. And I also got to experience that outdoor wedding with the ceremony being outside. We got married in front of a beautiful oak tree, and I was so worried that all the leaves were gonna fall by then, but it was still blooming. It was beautiful. Then we had our reception inside. I think there was already a time change. Our ceremony started at 3:30. I'm pretty sure I remember the sun setting around 4:35. So it was perfect timing because at 5 p.m. the reception started, and our main centerpieces on all the tables were candles. I think we had like 10 to 15 candles on every table, and it looked so beautiful, and it was exactly what I had in my mind. So I'm thankful for that. If I were to explain our wedding day style, it was more of classy, timeless. I just want to look back and have it not feel outdated. So my bridesmaid had navy dresses, and our main color was white and navy, and like our flowers were very simple, white, cream, green, and I think it turned out beautiful. I don't have my wedding photos yet, so I would have added some photos in the video, but that's okay. When I get the photos, I will spam like crazy on Instagram. So a little bit more details about the day. I had a first look with my dad and with Serge, and I am so thankful for both. I think every bride should do a first look with her dad. That was such an emotional moment, and it meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to him also because he was the first man in my life, and I think just having that moment with him was very special. But then having the first look with Serge was honestly my favorite part of the entire wedding. I don't think I loved anything more than that. How intimate and private it was probably my favorite thing. It was just like, although we had the photographers and the videographer there, it was very like us to no one else in this world type of moment. First of all, there's so many positive things about doing a first look. I know a lot of brides want to have their husbands see them when they're walking down the aisle for the first time, and I think if that's like what you're set on, go for it. But if you're torn, I would say do the first look. there's so many benefits, like I said. The first one is you get so many photos done beforehand. Since we saw each other, we got a lot of portraits together. We got photos with our bridal party. We got family photos done. Also, so much stress is taken off of your shoulders when you get to see each other before the ceremony. You obviously don't know what to expect when it's your wedding day, but it's such an emotional day. And I remember like starting from the morning. I mean, we came there at like 7 a.m. or something to start getting hair and makeup done. From the very morning, all my bridesmaids are crying. My mom is crying. My mom's best friend is crying. Our florist is crying. And I'm just like, guys, I can't. I can't take this. Like, this is, because obviously when I see them cry, I want to cry. And it's obviously happy tears, but it's like very emotional. And then like my first look with my dad, my first look with Serge, so many emotions and buildup is happening even before the wedding starts and the guests get there. By the time of the ceremony, I was like so exhausted, and I think seeing Serge and having a moment to ourselves was huge, so important. And then walking down the aisle to the ceremony wasn't as stressful because I already saw him. We had our moment, and now we just get to enjoy the wedding together. Another thing, while you're engaged, if you are very particular about your hair and makeup, do a trial for both. I did a makeup trial because on a daily basis, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't wear foundation. I mean, the most I wear is concealer, mascara, and blush. And whenever I do wear foundation for events, I don't feel like myself. So for me, it was important to meet with the makeup artist, tell her exactly what I want, and be able to see my makeup and see how I feel. And thankfully, my makeup artist did exactly what I wanted, and I felt very myself. I do wish I did a hair trial because I would have done my hair a little bit differently if I were to do a hair trial, but that's all right. It's not that big of a deal. Next thing, bridal showers and bachelorettes. My biggest thing is give those events to your bridesmaids. I didn't do that. Some of it was helped out with my bridesmaids, but a lot of it wasn't. My mom and I planned the entire bridal shower, and if I'm being completely honest, my mom planned most of it. She coordinated the food, the cake, the decorations, all of that. Like, she was so incredibly helpful. And it honestly makes me emotional just thinking about the people that showed up for me during my bridal season. You often hear people saying that people's true colors come out when you're getting married, and it is so true. The people that you least expect to show up like never before, and then the people that you expect to be there for you and to be helpful actually aren't. I don't know why that's the case. I think the best thing that you can do is just move on, not hold any grudges, and enjoy that time as much as you can, because it's a once in a lifetime experience. So my bridal shower was a garden themed party. It was so beautiful. It was perfect weather. I think my bridal shower was in October. So beautiful weather. Wasn't hot, wasn't cold. Everyone came with beautiful dresses. And one thing I will say, for your bridal shower, I encourage every bride to do something a little bit different from what your wedding is going to look like. Like I said, my wedding was very classy, simple, timeless. My bridal shower was colorful and bright and like exciting, and that's how I would kind of describe it. So I highly encourage brides to do something a little bit different, because it's another opportunity to express yourself. Us women have so many different styles and so many different visions for different things. And why recreate the same thing that you're having at your wedding when you can do completely different style at the bridal shower? So that's one piece of advice that I have. As for gifts, one thing I will do is I will create stories on our Ideal Podcast Instagram account, and I'll post those and make a little highlights bubble for all of the things that I had on my registry that I highly recommend for every bride. But I'm just going to go through my top 8 things that I have been using every single day since getting married. First thing, ask for a nice dinnerware set. Our set came with dinner plates, dessert plates, bowls, and mugs. And I got 8 of them in total, which I think is a great number if you're hosting, or even if, you go through plates so quickly. So the set that I have is called Bomb Bros it's from Target, and it's this beautiful sea green color, or not sea green, it's like a sage color. It's beautiful. It feels very like ceramic-y vibes. I didn't want something white and simple, and I'm still not tired of it. Another thing, glass cups. I went to different stores and looked at what they had, and then I added it to my registry. So I highly recommend go in store, see what's out there. Don't just put the first thing that you see online on your registry. And maybe all brides do this, but I'm just letting you know. So we got the 17 and the 12 ounce Bodega glass cups, also set of 8 of each. A Dutch oven. I use one of those all the time. It doesn't have to be the fancy, expensive brands. I think the one that I asked for was from Amazon. It was still like $80, but significantly cheaper than the expensive brands. Food container sets. That's great. If you love to bake, ask for a KitchenAid stand mixer. I use mine almost every single day, and it makes life so much easier. You can also get different attachments. There's just so much you can do with a stand mixer, so I highly recommend it. A nice knife set. I have I'm going to say this wrong, Yatoshi magnetic kitchen knife set with a magnet, like it's a magnetic block. It's not the block where you insert your knives into, because I heard that collects a lot of germs. So I just have the one that like your knives just stick on. I am obsessed. It's probably my favorite thing that I got from my registry. We also have a 10-piece Williams-Sonoma glass mixing bowl set. Highly recommend it. And then, of course, pots and pans. My mother-in-law got us the Hexclad pots and pans set. It's not cheap, but people want to celebrate you and get you these things because it's truly one of the greatest things that you will celebrate. So don't feel bad adding, all these things to your registry. And I would say add in some more affordable things and then some expensive things, and those people who can afford the more expensive things will bless you with them. So there's that. The Bachelorette. I look back on the Bachelorette and I am still so happy about it. My bridesmaids and I spent the weekend in Orange County. We had dinner, we got all dressed up, and we had a beach day in Laguna. We shopped around in the shops there. It was just so fun. And Riley, she took over and planned a lot of it. She decorated our entire hotel room with all these balloons, and our theme was Last Toast on the Coast. So she had these balloons everywhere and streamers, and they also made t-shirts that say Katie's Bachelorette, and I think we were wearing them when we were at the beach, and someone said oh, congratulations. It was so fun. And now I still have this t-shirt that I wear around the house, and it has so many good memories. Maybe I shouldn't wear it around the house. Maybe I should store it in a box so that I have it forever, but I don't know. Leaving my Bachelorette trip, I felt so incredibly encouraged and celebrated by the women that were in my life. So as I'm coming to the end of this episode, one thing that absolutely changed our lives is premarital counseling. I strongly encourage every couple to do premarital counseling, and do it with a couple that, first of all, you look up to in their lives are fruitful. Have it be a couple that you aspire to be when you're married. But the first thing I want to do is give you some book recommendations. So there were 2 books that we were reading during our engagement season in premarital counseling. The first one is The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. This book is so deep. It has so much wisdom. I had to read a little at a time because it was a lot. And then the next one is Tying the Knot. This one is significantly more practical, and it has a few chapters. It has 8 chapters, and each one has a few questions at the end. These books were so good because they pushed us to have conversations that we naturally wouldn't think about having when we were engaged. We kind of based our counseling sessions on this book, and you'd be surprised there might be a lot of things that you need to heal from, or even just process and talk about before you enter your marriage. We talked a lot about the role of a husband and a wife, and I personally had a lot of things that I needed to process myself. I think I was believing a lot of the things that the world has taught me, and I just needed to break free from that and instead fill my mind with God's truth about those things. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you're being counseled by godly, wise people, so that you're being fed the right information. So yeah, there's those 2 books. Those are the 2 books that we read during engagement. And then our pastor and his wife gifted us this devotional. It's also The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy and Kathy Keller. And it's just a daily devotional, so sweet, such a great way to just end your day with your spouse. This is a great devotional. And then also, I highly recommend this Quiet Times for Couples by Dr. Norman Wright. I love this author so much. I think he actually got one of his degrees at Pepperdine, which just makes me feel so connected to him. I also used to read his children books when I was a kid, so I love this author. I recommend also just very simple, very sweet daily devotionals that just provoke conversation and are great reminders for your marriage. So these 4 books, highly recommend. I think you could get them all on Amazon, honestly. These authors are trustworthy. And one thing I do want to talk about is how special it was to stand at the altar during our ceremony and have our pastor, who was officiating our wedding, who also got to know us on a personal level and hear our stories and talk through certain things with us. Like, it was just so special to have him standing by our sides and officiating our wedding. Despite me being someone that's a little bit more introverted and like loves the personal, intimate moments, standing at the altar, I felt so like, it felt like there was no one else there except for me and Serge. Actually, the book, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller, it went into depth about what a covenant really is. This is a quote from the book. "The covenant made between a husband and a wife is done before God, and therefore with God as well as the spouse." The book talks about making a vertical covenant, which is between you and God, as well as a horizontal covenant, which is you and your husband. And people often forget that what you're promising to your spouse is you're also promising to God. And there should be that fear of God when you are making those promises, because your goal is to keep that promise for the rest of your life. And anyway, so for us, the ceremony was such a special moment because we knew that how sacred it was and how important it was, because we were standing there before God promising all of these beautiful, beautiful things to each other, and it just meant a lot to us. And lastly, to conclude all of this, I hope the main takeaway that you get from this is Your wedding day should be a beautiful and joyful and special day, but it shouldn't be the best day of your entire life. And I think a lot of people might disagree with me, but I think the best parts come after. And now I know I've been married for only 5 months, but I think this is a great example, because even though we've been married for such a short time, I truly think that the best moments came after the wedding. The times that we got to travel, the times that we got to have deep, beautiful conversations and connect with each other on a whole other level that we never could have when we were dating or engaged or even just friends. I truly believe that the best days come after. Your wedding day is only the beginning of a beautiful journey that you're going to start with the love of your life. And if something doesn't go as planned or as you wanted it to go, that is totally okay. And you need to take off this pressure of having the coolest, most trendy, most beautiful day ever physically. Focus on the spiritual aspect of that day, because that's the most important. Make sure that your first priority is God, and everything else should follow. I think one thing that I had to learn is that my wedding day is not my identity. If something goes wrong, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad planner or that, that's how the rest of my marriage will go. I feel like I had to work on my mindset a lot during that season, because a lot gets in your mind when you're stressed and you're planning. Just make sure that you are focusing on the rest of your life rather than just on one day. And yeah, there it is. That is the end of the episode. I think that's everything that I want to say. And if there are more things that come to my mind, or if there's something that you guys want me to talk about, I would gladly do so. It feels really good to just reflect on the day and look back. And I think one thing I had to learn is that it's okay if things go wrong, and because it's just one day, truly. I promise you, the things that come after are far more important than your wedding day. This is why I say, go to premarital counseling. Make sure you figure out what church you're going to be going to and serving at and rooted in. Just make sure you have a great community, because that is what's most important. It's not how much fun your guests have or how perfect you look or how your flower arrangements turn out. It's literally all of the things about the wedding mean nothing except for the fact that you made a promise to each other and to God. And that's the most special part about it all. So yeah, there is that. I hope that you enjoyed this if you are a past bride, and I hope that future brides get some advice and can take a few of the things that I shared and put in their pockets and use during their engagement season. Have a great day, and thanks for listening. Bye.